Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are strapping in for a ride, the 70-year roller coaster of artificial intelligence. I mean, it is a wild story, full of these breathtaking highs, some really chilling lows, and a revolution that is, well, it's unfolding right now all around us.
All right, so let's get right into it. Every roller coaster has that first big moment, right? That slow click, clack, click climb up the first hill, full of optimism and anticipation. Well, for AI, that climb started with a truly powerful, world-changing idea.
So, picture this. It's in 1956, Dartmouth College. This is where the term artificial intelligence is officially coined. And pretty soon, you've got these early systems that can do things like simulate a conversation or solve calculus problems. Can you imagine? This created this huge wave of just infectious optimism. Seriously, people really believed human-level AI was just around the corner. And this right here, this single sentence from that original proposal was the spark that lit the whole fire. The core idea was that every single aspect of intelligence could, in principle, be copied by a machine. This wasn't just about making faster calculators, you know? It was about recreating the mind itself. That was the huge promise that sent our roller coaster car soaring up that first massive hill. But you know how it is with roller coasters. After that big climb, there's always the drop. And for AI, the first drops were absolutely stomach-turning. They led to these long, cold periods where all that early excitement just vanished. Yeah, the promise was basically a rocket to the moon. But the reality, it was more like a rocket that couldn't even get out of the backyard. Researchers quickly realized that what worked in a clean lab demo just fell apart in the messy, unpredictable real world. And this gap, this huge gap between the hype and what was actually possible, it led to a total collapse in confidence. And this pattern has a name, actually. The industry calls it the AI hype cycle. You see this massive peak of expectation right after a cool new breakthrough, but then when the tech can't deliver on all those huge promises, everything just crashes down into what's known as an AI winter. That's when the funding disappears and research pretty much grinds to a halt. And get this, AI didn't just go through one winter. Oh no, it went through two major ones. The first one hit in the mid-70s, kicked off by a government report in the UK that basically just called the whole field a failure. Ouch. Then, the second winter arrived in the late 80s. This time, the culprit was something called expert systems. They were all the rage, supposed to copy human experts, but they were just too rigid, too expensive, and totally impractical. The roller coaster had officially plunged into its deepest, coldest valley. But you know, even during those really quiet, really cold years, something was stirring behind the scenes. AI wasn't dead, it was just evolving. It was quietly rebuilding, rethinking, and setting the stage for what would be a truly dramatic comeback. This was the slow, steady, click, 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 back up the next big hill. And the whole strategy just flipped on its head. Think about it like this. The old way, symbolic AI, was like giving a machine a detailed rulebook for everything, but it was just too brittle. The new way, statistical AI, was totally different. Instead of a rulebook, researchers just started feeding machines massive, and I mean massive amounts of data, and letting them figure out the patterns for themselves. This was the birth of what we now call machine learning.
And this new approach, it started paying off big time. We started seeing these huge tipping points. First, 1997, IBM's Deep Blue beats the world's chess champion, Garry Kasparov, a massive moment. Then, fast forward to 2012, a system called AlexNet basically teaches computers how to see images with stunning accuracy. And then, 2017, the game changer. The transformer architecture comes out, and it completely revolutionizes how machines understand language. The comeback was definitely on.
And that brings us to right now, to today. The part of the ride we're all on, that absolutely incredible, breathtaking main drop of the roller coaster. So you've got to ask, right? What was it that fueled this insane climb to the massive hype we're all living through? Well, it really wasn't just one thing. It was more like a perfect storm of four crucial ingredients coming together at the exact same time. First, you had an absolute explosion of data, thanks to the internet. Second, a revolution in computing power. Think GPUs and the cloud. Third, those huge algorithmic breakthroughs we just talked about, like transformers. And finally, the key ingredient. For the first time ever, we got tools like ChatGPT that put all this incredible power right into our hands. So the real difference between the past and today, it's just a matter of scale. I mean, it's not even comparable. We went from tiny data sets to the entire internet, from slow, clunky computers to global networks of GPUs. It's exactly why most experts think another deep, long AI winter is pretty unlikely. The whole foundation is just so much stronger this time around. Okay, but just when we think we've got this ride figured out, it takes a sharp, unexpected twist. Because it turns out that today's amazing AI, well, it isn't quite what it appears to be on the surface. I mean, we've all seen the magic, right? You've seen it. Modern generative AI can write poetry that sounds human, create these stunningly beautiful images from just a few words, even generate complex code. These abilities have totally captured the world's imagination. For the first time, it feels less like a tool and more like a creative partner. But this all leads to a really critical question, a really big one. Is the AI actually thinking? Is it understanding what it's doing, or is something else going on under the hood?
This is where we get into a really fascinating idea called jagged intelligence. It's this weird phenomenon where an AI can perform at a superhuman level on a task that we find incredibly hard, and yet it can turn around and completely fail at a task that a 5-year-old could do easily.
Here's a perfect example. We have AI models that can literally win gold medals at the International Mathematical Olympiad, beating the world's smartest human students. And yet, that same model can get basic high school math problems wrong. How is that even possible? Well, what this reveals is a core fundamental truth about where AI is today. It's an incredible pattern matching machine, maybe the best one ever built. But it's not a genuine reasoner. It doesn't understand math in the way we do. It just recognizes patterns it saw in its training data. This is exactly why we get things like AI hallucinations, and why its logic is so often trapped inside this mysterious, unexplainable black box.
So here we are. Our roller coaster car is cresting this massive, massive peak. And as we look out at the track ahead, what do we see? Is it another gut-wrenching drop, or is something else waiting for us?
Well, most experts see a pretty clear path forward. For the next couple of years, it's all about integration. AI becoming a normal part of our jobs, like a co-pilot for everything. Then you can bet regulation is coming, as governments try to figure out the rules for safety and ethics. And looking further out, towards the end of the decade, that's when we can probably expect the next big breakthroughs. Smarter AI agents that can actually reason, plan, and take action on their own. And all of this really points to the main story for the road ahead. You know, the narrative is really shifting away from AI is here to replace us. Instead, it's becoming about collaboration. It's about a future where humans and machines work together, augmenting each other's abilities and, well, growing together. So, from the early hype through the cold winters to this incredible rebirth, the AI roller coaster is now shaping our world in ways those pioneers back in 1956 could have only dreamed of. And that leaves us with one final, really important question. It's not about if AI will change the world anymore. The real question is, how will you shape your future with it?